Welcome back to the 2015 NAB show. I'm Scott Ellis.
I'm John P.
And we're here today to look at something I know Dave Curley is super excited about.
Yeah, Dave has really got a thing for this.
He does, he does. And with us is Jeff Chow, who's going to show us Control Console.
That's correct.
And this is something that you've been building. Dave does most of this, so I'm gonna. He'd probably be the better person to ask some questions. But you're actually controlling, it looks like Lightroom right now from your iPad.
Yeah.
But this does some other things as well. Why don't you walk us through what we're looking at here?
It does. I mean, we actually started in Premiere. So I ran a Kickstarter campaign in 2012, raised money for this Premiere interface.
Now, is this something you do full time, or is this something you did as a project?
This was started as a project. I was a professional photographer. I shot for Backpacker for 8 years. And I kind of built this on the side, and I thought, this is something that could benefit people, right?
Yeah.
Learning software, using software, makes it super simple and intuitive to these really complex programs, right?
So is this something that you found a need for in your own workflow, and that's why you...
And so you built it?
Yeah, exactly. It was a crazy thing. I had 3 weeks to shoot this first video project of my life for General Mills as my first client. And I had to shoot, edit, deliver, composite, and I'd never done any of it professionally.
Yeah.
And it was actually faster for me to create an iPad interface, so I only had to program it once. I didn't have to memorize anything else at that point, and just start using it, right? So that's when I started to go to film festivals, talked to a lot of editors, really talked about the idea, and then we ran a successful Kickstarter campaign to eventually build this interface. So it has a jog wheel, a shuttle, you can fast forward and rewind, and then we also have these gestures. You can do the same thing just by swiping anywhere. So I can mark in without even having to look at the screen. I can insert something into the timeline, you'll see it right there, and it's something super intuitive.
So how does it technically work? You download the app. First of all, how much is the app?
So the app is free, but then you buy in-app purchases for the interfaces you want. So if you use Premiere, you buy the Premiere ones. You use Final Cut, you buy the Final Cut ones. Lightroom's coming out.
So there's one app, but I could use the one app for different programs.
Exactly.
And how much are the like? I know that Final Cut or Premiere or something. What do people pay for that interface?
So we have 2 interfaces for each Final Cut and Premiere, for example. So this is the Premiere editor, the more complicated one. That's $30. We have the Premiere controller right here, simplified, just jog shuttle kind of thing. That's $5. So
okay.
Very accessible.
Yeah, very
accessible.
Especially compared to the price of the applications they're actually.
Exactly.
But we won't talk about it. Okay, so you've got Premiere, Final Cut Pro, and the Final Cut controller. So you've got 2 versions of and then Lightroom. Now, did you say Lightroom is already out, or is this what you're working on?
No, this is in beta right now, right? So there's a little bit of rough edges here and there, but Lightroom is the one I'm really excited about, having been a photographer.
Yeah.
Right. This blows the workflow away, because right now, to pick, unflag, and reject, it's P and X. They're the furthest keys you can get on the keyboard, right?
Yeah.
And you have to hit the right arrow key.
Yeah.
And then the stars or number keys, it's just not intuitive. And so what I can do here is, so I have gesture mode on already. Let's click up here. You can see this image. I can just go through, I can flag, I can reject, I can just go through, I can do 2-star ratings, 2 down.
Wow.
Right? And then I can go to loop view real quickly with this 3-finger swipe, back to grid mode. And I don't even have to be looking at this interface, right? I can be looking where I should be at the
You're even doing that backwards.
I'm doing it backwards.
Trey Ratcliffe would lose his mind.
I was thinking of Trey as we were looking at this. He's going to love this.
Yeah.
He's hardcore on Lightroom.
Yeah, one of the things I learned, I don't use this workflow personally, but a lot of professionals use what's called comparative review. They look at 6 images at a time, so they say, oh, that's the one I want, so they can look at the set, right?
That's how I do it.
Is that how you do it? Okay, so we have this survey mode button. It brings up 6 images in one button press, right? So you can go through in the same thing, you can go through and flag, and do all that kind of thing. If you want to bring the next 6 images, it's 1 button press, and the next 6 images show up.
Wow.
Instead of having to do this multi-step process, you just go next, next. We're actually going to add a gesture in, so it's just 3-finger swipe left and right. Next 6 images, flag them, and all that kind of
thing. Okay, when's that going to be available?
So this will hopefully be in next month. We're just finalizing this up and get it out the door.
And how much is that one going to sell for as well?
So we are planning on a $50 price point for this one. We went to WPPI, and people were willing to spend over $100 for this. We don't want to charge $100. We think it should be more accessible than that.
Yep.
But we think $50 is the right price point.
Cool. I think given how much it expedites workflow and what you can do with it, that's still save you a lot of time. It's very worthwhile.
Exactly. It's much more ergonomic. You don't have like the whole wrist and
much
finger
more
thing.
intuitive.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah, and go ahead.
I know that people are going to ask this question, so I'm going to go ahead and proactively ask it. But any chance that there might be Android-based versions of this?
That is a very common question. So the mission is to empower creatives and revolutionize the way we use computers, right? Because the software we use today has so little to do with typing oftentimes. We want to create interfaces for the world software. To do that, we can't just be on iOS, right? We have to be on every platform. So I want to be on Windows, I want to be on Android. We've built the infrastructure to allow us to move to those, just not yet.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
Yeah.
And don't forget about Palm Pilot.
I had a Palm Pilot.
Do you really?
I loved it. The writing recognition, I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah. I had a Newton. Do you remember that one?
I did not have a
Newton.
Wow. Okay, guys, we're going to keep reminiscing, but you guys stay tuned. We got a lot more coverage coming from NAB Show 2015 here, so stick around. Be right back.